youth camp. By 6:30, everyone's up and the kitchen's crowded. They help themselves to cornflakes, which their mother buys by the giant carton. Daniel, who's only 4, makes porridge for himself and his younger brothers and sisters with the help of one of the family's few labour-saving devices. Juice is ladled out of the punch bowl. The food budget each week is $300, and sometimes that doesn't seem to stretch very far with 11 little mouths to feed. There's Daniel, 4, Joanna, 1, Joshua, 3, Catherine, 7, and Michael, 8, sitting at the breakfast bar. Around the table clockwise are Heath, who's 12, Matthew, 10, Rebecca, 16, Luke, 15, Elizabeth, 13, and Dad, Warwick, holding Sarah Jane, 4 weeks. Their mother, Carol, seldom sits down to breakfast. She's busy turning loaves of bread into Vegemite sandwiches for lunch. The Spillers are Mormons with a strong belief in the value of the family, but they say that's not the reason why they had so many children.
I think that the reason we have gone on, though, to have this many children is because we've been able to appreciate these special individuals and learn to work well with it, so that we just enjoy it so much.
Warwick has his own business as a plumbing contractor, working mainly on high-rise buildings. He says he couldn't afford to run so large a family just on wages. The children say there are no disadvantages to being one of nearly a dozen, and they plan big families of their own.
And how many are you going to have again?
Around 10, probably. We all think that if we all have 10 kids, then Mum will have 110 grandchildren.
Carol and Warwick met at church when she was only 15. They married 3 years later, and Carol was a mother at 19. Now in her mid-30s, her children are her career and a constant source of surprise to outsiders.
Well, it's really funny. One day, a lady came up to me, you know, and she saw me with 4 or 5 little children because the rest were at school. And she said, "Oh, my goodness, you poor woman, you know, how do you manage with so many children?" She said, "And how many have you got, dear?" And, you know, normally you sort of think, oh, yes, we're very busy, but it's very nice, you know, but people always end up saying that, "And how many do you have?" You know? And then you say, "Right, well, we have 11 children. This is just a half, you know." And, "Oh, no." And then they usually touch somebody. "This lady has 11 children."
And they haven't ruled out more. Families are forever is one of the Spillers' sayings, and they celebrate it every week with a family meeting where they pray, talk and sing.
Through Heavenly Father's plan, I always want to be with my own family, and the Lord has shown me how I can. The Lord has shown me how I can.
Now, doesn't that make you feel better? Wherever you are in Australia, mums out there, because I run into a lot of mums who feed their baby while watching the program, and, you know, they sit out there and their morning television to them is a real blessing. But, Mum, don't you feel much better this morning? Cheaper by the dozen, wasn't that the movie?
She looked happy, didn't she?
She looked great.
A Mormon.
Very fit.
Because there's a lot of Osmonds too, weren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cheaper by the dozen. Oh, she's got the reaction to people down, Pat. I love that. She's got 11 children. Shocking me, I can tell you. Glad somebody's making up for me. Right now, to the stars, here's Karen. In fact, they'll cover them.
To come into our home.
You see, the Spillers have 12 children. Fiona MacDonald caught up with the Spillers behind the Gold Coast, expecting bedlam, but finding something very different.
This is Shiner, a haven on the Gold Coast hinterland for childhood sweethearts Carol and Warwick Spiller. After 20 years of marriage, they still hold hands. You're still very snuggly after all this time.
Oh, yes.
We've just been on our honeymoon, haven't we? 20s.
Their relationship becomes inspiring when you meet the Spillers' children, all 12 of them. There's Sarah, Joanna, Joshua, Daniel, Catherine, Michael, Matthew, Heath, Elizabeth, Luke and Rebecca.
Joanna, go water the plant up the top there. Michael, this needs to set up.
A tightly knit family who learn responsibility from an early age. A mere 21 months separates the birthdays of each child. Exhaustingly close arrivals for this 38-year-old mother.
Yeah, having babies is no picnic. But anything that's worthwhile in life, I find, comes a little difficult. And that's why you appreciate children so much and love them so very much, because you just don't come by them easy.
Was such a large family in the plan?
We planned on a family, on having a family. We did not plan on having 12 children.
Each time after we'd have a child and we'd love and care for that child, and time would pass by, and we'd have a feeling that there was somebody else that needed to come into our home.
Hey, you can jump, but don't dive, okay?
The newest spiller is Benjamin, the subject of much attention from his affectionate siblings.
We focus on time together and caring and loving and trying to encourage the children to do that with each other.
Are you natural parents? Did it come easily to you?
We have to work at it, both of us. We read books. We have to practice different approaches with the children to see what works best.
We pray about how we deal with our children, and there's a lot of perspiration, but I believe that there's a lot of inspiration.
Matthew and Michael, come back this way, please.
How is it that you function so smoothly?
Well, we rely a lot on the chore chart, so everybody has a chore and knows what they should be doing, and we encourage them to do that.
Are there times when you think you'd prefer maybe to be part of a smaller family?
I used to sometimes, but I've learned so much, and we've grown so much together, and I love all of them, and I'm just amazed that we all have a special friendship.
Most of my friends at school, they've got, like, there's either one in their family, they're the only child. They're not as giving as my brothers and sisters, I don't find. And yet they're very loving towards you as a friend, but they're not as loving towards their family.
There have been sacrifices for the family. When they moved here 5 years ago from Sydney, they lived in this shed while they built their home. And although Warwick runs a successful business from China, luxuries are few and everything bought in bulk, with a weekly food bill around $350.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for our lovely day. Please bless that this food will nourish and strengthen our bodies. Please bless everyone around the world that they will know the spirit of Christmas.
We have old-fashioned ideas of struggling to get what you want and going bit at a time and working together and appreciating things as they come along the way.
Religion guides our lives. We are guided by the things that we believe in, and through those principles, we set our priorities, and really they direct what we do.
We try all the time to encourage the children to do unto others as they would have others do unto them. The golden rule.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
With so many to share the joy, Christmas is a particularly special day.
When they come down the stairs and early hour of the morning and all the squeals and joy, and they come up and they show us what Santa Claus has brought them, and it's so exciting.
What's the best thing about being such a large family?
There are so many people to give cuddles to and to care about. We've got all our friends here in our own family.
He's coming to town.
Fiona McDonald and the Spillers. And with 12 kids, don't Mum and Dad look terrific?
Tips that we can all learn from.
Busy day, but this is no ordinary family.
Sarah, have you fed the fish? Yeah. That's wonderful. Joanna, can you come help me bub the toast?
Carol and Warwick Spiller have 12 children, and breakfast time is run with military precision.
Okay, everyone knows what they have to do.
Now, I find this all just mind-boggling. I mean, I literally have enough trouble getting myself fed, dressed and to work on time each day, let alone worrying about a family of 12 children. On top of that, there's the headache of making one weekly wage pay for the whole lot. Well, the Spillers are going to show us how they do it. While Warwick works in the family business, installing and building water tanks, Carol takes care of household expenses. And with a family as big as theirs, every cent matters. So, Carol, how much would you spend a week on groceries?
On an average, about $400.
$400?
$400. It's certainly not cheaper by the dozen.
Each week, the family hoes through 14 kilos of potatoes, 8 loaves of bread, 30 litres of milk, 3 dozen eggs, 10 litres of juice, 3.5 kilos of porridge, and a box each of carrots, oranges, apples and tomatoes. Now, $400 sounds like a lot of money, but when you're feeding 14 people, you have to make all of those savings count. They buy everything in bulk, and that's where this commercial-sized fridge is essential. So I notice all these boxes of everything. You don't just buy 1 or 2 tomatoes, you buy a whole box.
That's right. Let me show you here. I go to the markets on Saturdays, and this whole box of lettuce, $2.
$2.
I got that for $2. And tomatoes, $8. And I think that, yeah, the carrots were, I think, $12. What we do with the milk is we have 50% powdered milk and 50% milk, and
so you
that
just
helps
mix it up together.
Yeah.
And Carol takes advantage of specials by stocking up the pantry.
50% that can save you, you know, at times.
A vegetable garden helps supplement what they buy, and to further cut costs, Carol used to sew the children's clothes. Now she finds it just as cheap to shop at Kmart or Target, although she still uses her sewing skills to save money on repairs. Carol also cuts everyone's hair, saving them nearly $1,000 a year. By doing this, a family with 2 adults and 2 children would save at least $360 a year. So, have you ever had any complaints about your haircuts?
Well, I've clipped ears, yes, and yes, we've had some gaps and some crooked fringes, but we get better all the time.
It's just such a peaceful place, isn't it?
It is peaceful. That's why we came here. First, when we arrived, we built that shed. We lived in there, 11 of us, for 2 years, and whilst we built the house.
Just housing a family this big was always going to be costly. But by building their home themselves, with a little help from family and friends, the Spillers saved about $100,000. Even though they cut costs wherever possible, there have been times they could barely afford to buy food.
At times it has been nearly impossible, but at those times we've been able to rely on the food supplies that we have in our pantry.
Even a simple meal at a restaurant could cost the Spillers more than $100, blowing their family budget. But these children don't mind home-cooked meals. In fact, they love their mum's cooking. The Spillers also save money on entertainment. After all, who needs to go out when you can field your own footy team? No matter how big or small your family is, Carol and Warwick Spiller say the key to making each dollar stretch a little further is to work out a budget and stick to it.
There was a saying that I used to tell the children, fix it up, wear it out, make do or do without.
Kim Watkins there, and I thought